A cop pulls over a black woman because he thinks her car is too nice for her. But the moment she steps out, wearing a full, military uniform covered in medals, his jaw drops. What happens next will leave you speechless and might just change the way you look at respect forever. License and registration, ma'am. Wait, is this your car? Those were the first words that came out of Officer Daniels' mouth when he pulled over a sleek, black Mercedes-Benz on a quiet stretch of highway just outside Atlanta. It was one of those calm, golden afternoons, the kind of day where the road glows under the sun and the air feels still. Daniels had been sitting in his patrol car near an exit ramp, scanning the passing vehicles, when the luxury sedan caught his eye. It wasn't speeding. It wasn't swerving. It wasn't doing anything wrong, but something about it made him suspicious. Maybe it was the tinted windows, maybe the polished look, or maybe, just maybe, it was who he thought might be driving it. He followed the car for nearly a mile before turning on his lights. The Mercedes slowed down smoothly and pulled over to the side. Daniels took a deep breath, adjusted his sunglasses, and stepped out of his cruiser, already forming assumptions in his mind. Behind the wheel sat a black woman in her late 40s, calm, confident, and dressed neatly in a dark blazer. No sign of panic, no fumbling for papers, just quiet composure. As he approached the window, she rolled it down halfway and greeted him politely. "Good afternoon, officer. Is there a problem?" Daniels tilted his head slightly, trying to keep his tone neutral but unable to hide his doubt. "Do you know why I stopped you?" "I'm not sure," she said evenly. "Was I speeding?" He hesitated. "No, ma'am, just routine check." His eyes scanned the interior. Spotless, organized, and professional. "Nice car," he added. "Doesn't seem like something we see around here much." That last sentence slipped out before he could stop himself, but it was too late. The woman caught it immediately. Her expression didn't change. No anger, no irritation, and just that quiet, knowing look of someone who's heard it all before. Inside her head, she sighed. Another one of these stops. To him, she was just another driver who didn't fit his expectations. But to her, this was a story she knew all too well. Being questioned not for what she did, but for who she appeared to be. Little did Officer Daniels know, he was about to learn a lesson he would never forget. Officer Daniels adjusted his belt as he took her driver's license and registration, his brow furrowed just slightly. Everything about this woman, her calm tone, her steady gaze, her confidence, it all seemed to challenge him. He glanced down at the license. Name, Colonel Denise Harper. The title caught his eye, but he didn't think much of it. Probably some kind of honorary thing, he figured. Maybe a retired teacher or the wife of a military man. He had seen people use colonel on paperwork before, even when it didn't mean much. Still, something about it nagged at him. "Where are you headed, Miss Harper?" he asked, emphasizing the miss without even realizing the weight behind it. She looked up at him, one eyebrow raised slightly. "That's Colonel Harper, officer, and I'm on my way to Fort Benning for a briefing." The correction was gentle but firm, the kind of tone that came from years of leading soldiers and commanding respect. Daniels blinked, momentarily thrown off. "Colonel?" he repeated, his skepticism slipping into his voice. "Yes," she replied calmly. "United States Army. I've served for 23 years. The officer let out a small, awkward laugh, the kind people use when they're trying to mask disbelief. "Oh, the Army? He asked, half joking, half serious. Her lips curled into the faintest smile. "The real Army, officer." There was a pause. A long, uncomfortable pause. Daniels looked from her to the license again. Her ID photo was crisp and professional, and the credentials checked out. But he still couldn't shake his doubt. He cleared his throat. "Mind if I run this real quick?" "Go ahead," she said, still calm, still unshaken. As he walked back to his cruiser, his thoughts spun. A colonel? Driving a Mercedes? Alone? Out here? Something just didn't add up, and at least not in the narrow picture of the world he had built in his head. From her car window, Colonel Harper watched him, shaking her head softly. She had seen this before. The look of disbelief that always seemed to follow her success. She whispered to herself, "Some lessons can't be taught in a classroom." And Officer Daniels was just about to learn one of those lessons, the hard way. Officer Daniels sat in his patrol car, staring at the computer screen as the system processed. Colonel Harper's information. Within seconds, her record appeared, spotless. No tickets, no warnings, no criminal history. And right there in bold letters, U.S. Army, active duty, rank, Colonel. He blinked. Once, twice. It was real. Still, his pride didn't want to let go. Maybe the system was wrong, he thought. Maybe it was some mix-up. Because in his mind, the picture didn't fit. A black woman, middle-aged, driving a luxury Mercedes and claiming to be a colonel, it just didn't align with his expectations. Instead of simply handing back her documents and apologizing, he decided to play it safe. He tapped his flashlight nervously against his thigh and walked back toward the car. "Ma'am," he said, his tone suddenly more formal, "I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle." Inside, Colonel Harper took a deep breath. This wasn't the first time someone had questioned her place in the world, and sadly, she doubted it would be the last. Still, she stayed composed. She unbuckled her seatbelt slowly, gathered her cap from the passenger seat, and opened the door. The moment she stepped out, the world seemed to pause. Her full-dress uniform shimmered in the sunlight. The polished nameplate that read Harper, the sharply pressed jacket lined with medals and ribbons, the glint of her silver eagle insignia. Each one told a story of service, sacrifice, and leadership. Stories that Officer Daniels couldn't even begin to imagine. For a split second, he just stared. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. His mind raced to process what he was seeing. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a lie. This woman standing before him was a full-fledged Army colonel, a leader who had probably commanded hundreds of soldiers. "Colonel Harper," he finally stammered. I didn't realize." She adjusted her uniform cap, standing tall. Her posture radiated authority. "No, officer," she said firmly. "You didn't." That single sentence hit him harder than any reprimand could. For the first time in a long time, Officer Daniels felt something he hadn't expected: shame. And standing there on that quiet highway, he realized this traffic stop wasn't about a car anymore. It was about his own assumptions, and the truth staring him right in the face. For a moment, silence filled the air between them, heavy, awkward, and unescapable. The only sounds were the soft hum of passing cars and the faint chirp of crickets in the grass. Officer Daniels stood frozen, eyes darting between Colonel Harper's uniform and the ground beneath his boots. His confidence, the same confidence he had when he first approached her window, had completely vanished. He cleared his throat trying to find words, but they stumbled out broken. "Colonel, I didn't mean any disrespect," he said, his voice quieter now, almost trembling. "It's just that when I saw—" She raised a hand, stopping him mid-sentence. "You saw a black woman driving a nice car, and your instincts told you she didn't belong in it. Isn't that right?" He didn't respond. He didn't have to. His silence said everything. Colonel Harper's tone wasn't angry. It was calm, measured, the kind of voice that carried authority without raising volume. "Officer, I've been in uniform for over 2 decades. I've served overseas, led troops through chaos, and buried soldiers who gave everything for this country. Yet here I am, still being questioned for belonging." Her words struck him like a punch to the chest. Daniels looked down, ashamed. "You're right, ma'am. I shouldn't have assumed anything. He paused, struggling for the right words. "I wasn't expecting someone like you." "Someone like me?" she repeated softly, a faint, almost sad smile forming. "That's exactly the problem." She stepped closer, her boots crunching against the gravel. "You wear that badge to serve and protect, officer. Every citizen. Not just the ones who fit your expectations. The uniform you wear and the one I wear may look different, but they stand for the same thing: duty, respect, and integrity. Remember that." Daniels swallowed hard. "Yes, Colonel." "Good," she said, straightening her shoulders. Then, after a brief pause, she added, "Now, if we're done here, I have soldiers waiting for me." With a crisp motion, she raised her hand and gave a sharp salute. The kind of salute that came from years of discipline. Almost instinctively, Daniels returned it. But this time it wasn't out of routine. It was out of genuine respect. And for the first time that day, he saw her not as a driver, not as a stereotype, but as the hero she truly was. By the next morning, the entire town was buzzing. Someone parked nearby had captured the whole encounter on their dash cam. From the moment the patrol lights flashed to the Powerful moment, Colonel Harper stepped out of her Mercedes in full uniform. The clip spread online like wildfire. Within hours, it had millions of views. People across the country shared it with captions like, "This is what grace under pressure looks like." A salute to Colonel Harper, dignity in motion. Never judge a book by its cover. In the video, you could clearly see the officer's face. That stunned, almost embarrassed expression when realization hit him. But what people noticed most wasn't his reaction. It was hers. The way she handled the situation, calm, poised, never once raising her voice, spoke volumes. News outlets reached out to her for interviews. Morning shows wanted her story, but Colonel Harper declined them all. When asked why, she simply said, "I didn't do anything special. I just did what I've always done, carried myself with dignity." Still, her actions spoke louder than any words ever could. As for Officer Daniels, the incident changed him deeply. The viral attention was uncomfortable at first. The backlash, the criticism, the endless online debates. But he didn't run from it. He faced it head-on. He requested additional training, not because he was forced to, but because he wanted to understand. He attended diversity and cultural awareness seminars, spent time volunteering at community events, and even visited Fort Benning at Colonel Harper's invitation. There he met soldiers of every background, men and women who wore their uniforms with pride, just like her. Months later, in a quiet local interview, Officer Daniels spoke about that day. "That stop taught me more than any academy ever could. I learned that authority doesn't always look how you expect it to. Sometimes it steps out of a car, stands tall in uniform, and shows you what real service looks like." As for Colonel Harper, life went on. She continued serving her country, her medals shining not just for battles fought abroad, but for the quiet, unseen ones she fought right here at home. Because true strength, she believed, wasn't about power or rank. It was about character and the courage to demand respect with grace. That simple traffic stop became a lesson, not just for him, but for millions who saw the video later. Because sometimes the most powerful way to teach someone respect is to show it first. If this story moved you, hit that like button to honor every man and woman who serves with pride. And if you believe in stories that open eyes and change hearts, make sure to subscribe because we've got more true, powerful stories just like this one coming your way.